Hello, my friends. I hope everyone's having a great day today. So this is a painting that I did about a month ago, I guess, and I had forgotten that I had this video that I needed to edit. The house was kind of busy that day, so I couldn't talk while I was painting. I needed to do a voiceover on it, and it somehow just got lost among all the family gathering videos and pictures and things that I had taken, and I just ran across it. So I thought I would share this with you. Excuse me. All right. The colors that I used, and I showed you three, the Ranger colors of Slate, Currant, and Moss, but I ended up not using the Slate on this one. I only used Currant and Moss. I also used Jacquard's Piñata Brass and the clear that stuff. The clear liquid is 99% isopropyl alcohol. This is very similar to a painting that I did a couple of months ago, or a video that I'd posted a couple of months ago. The colors, I think, are the same. It's the only difference is in this one I did use brass. In the other one I did not use any metallic. I went back after I was done with the painting and put gold colored crushed glass on it. But this one I wanted to do for my mother for Christmas, and so I left off the crushed glass. That's just not kind of who she is, not really, wouldn't go with her house as good. So, and I actually like this one better than the first one that I did. So you'll see I started out with the currant. And I tried to make my wisps coming off of this a little bit bigger than what I do a lot of times. I didn't want this to have a lot of smaller, tight ones in it. I just wanted some larger, more spread out ones. And now you can tell how much the Currant stains the Yupo. You can see that kind of bluish color underneath. And that is the reason I chose to do this one on Yupo, because I knew that it would stain, and that's what I wanted, was that underlayer of color. But it also has the sort of disadvantage of pulling some of your color out. Now, Currant is a dark colored ink, but when you use it on Yupo especially, it gets much lighter, as some of the I can't think of the word, the pigments. Some of the pigments in it, get sucked into the Yupo. You do lose a little bit of your color, and it changes the color just a little bit. So you'll see here in just a minute, I do go back and put down some more of the Currant on top of this, because I did want to have the staining blended underneath, not just have super obvious dark stains with some light color over top of it. I want there to be hints of the staining showing through without just having a blob of a different color underneath where my soft areas are. I hope that makes some kind of sense. It's, not sure how to put that into words, what my brain thinks. Frequently I have that problem. Oh, okay. Now, just as a reminder, if you've watched my videos before, I know you've heard me say this, but, make sure that you're keeping alcohol towards the outer edge of your ink if you want those soft edges. Now, I don't do that when I'm first drying a section, because then I'll go back and start, softening it up with those wispier, soft areas. But make sure that, yeah, if you want that softer look, especially if you don't want a hard edge at all on it, that you keep alcohol on the outer edge of where your ink is at. So that's pretty much all I'm doing here. Just trying to keep the I'm trying to keep from pushing too much ink back to the center, because, like I said, I don't want to uncover all of the staining that's underneath it. I want to get my soft edge without completely pushing the color that's left from this that's still moving. I don't want to push all that back into the center. And when you're working with Yupo and you start having that problem, just add some more of, whatever that color is, or go ahead and add another color, and that'll help you kind of keep that staining blended in, rather than having that draw your eye. And I don't want the staining to be the focal point. I just want it to be, sort of a background layer. And also, if you're working with colors like these, because this is, a red color and a green color, you don't want to do too much blending together. Yeah, you want to have, well, me, not, I don't know about you, me, I want to have an area where the colors are softened together without mixing them so much that becomes its own individual color, completely separating the other two colors that I'm working with. And when you're working with red and green, it doesn't make a really pretty color when you start blending them anyway. So just keep that in mind when you're blending your colors together, that there are some that are not going to blend pretty if you do too much mixing. What I try to do is mostly sort of just do a wash over top of one color. Like the color I'm putting down, I'll just try to do sort of a wash over top of the color that's already down, and not try to do too much more. Now you'll see I do kind of go in right here because I had a big open space there at the top that I wanted to fill in, but I try not to do too much moving that and pushing that around, because I did have both colors in there and I didn't want to just end up with a brown patch right there. Something just to kind of keep in mind about how much you want or don't want different colors to blend, when you're working on your own painting. So there's no new techniques in this or anything. If you've seen any of my other videos, this is all just very similar to what I would normally do. That, like I said, I just used a little bit more alcohol than I do sometimes, because I wanted bigger areas of softness in it. This one, I really did end up really liking this painting, but I was really worried, because it was a gift. I was worried about my mother's going to like it. So, I was asking a bunch of people's opinions. So this has made me think about some things that I've said before, but things people still tell me about. Feeling very unsure about your own art. And if, when you feel that way, don't let your mind trick you into thinking that whatever you did is no good. Because, as I've said many times, we are definitely our own worst critics. And you're so much better off to get the opinions of someone you can trust. Not someone who's just going to say, oh, yeah, that's great, just so they don't hurt your feelings. Because there's nice ways, and we all know people who can do this. There are nice ways to say, that's really gorgeous, but My taste would be, or, and you just don't know because everybody likes something different. Some paintings that I have done that I think are just horrible. I mean, I absolutely don't like them. And, I have had people just think they are amazing and, would want to buy them. So, like, don't assume just because you're not happy with something that somebody else is not. Art, as I've said, is very subjective. I mean, that's what art is. Everyone has got such a different style that and different taste in the things that we like, that just because you don't like it doesn't mean somebody else isn't going to just be absolutely in love with it. So, don't beat yourself up over stuff. I'm yeah, practice doing what I say, not what I do here, because I do beat myself up pretty bad over mine sometimes. But it is something we all need to practice. This is a very abstract art form. And there's some people that just don't like abstracts, which is fine. But I personally do like abstract, and so it does get a little, I don't know, hard for me to judge myself and the quality of some of my paintings, because all I can do is look at other people's and think, oh man, I wish mine would come out like that. So I have to remind myself that, I'm me and my style is different from a lot of people's style out there. This is, still a somewhat new genre, I guess, of fluid art. So there's, everyone is still developing techniques. So develop your own techniques that kind of put your own personal spin on things. And don't be afraid to experiment. That's where some of the best artwork will come from, is when you're experimenting and not being hard on yourself and just kind of letting the inks flow and do sort of what they want to do and not trying to force them into whatever image you have in your head of what they should be. That's, my paintings tend to turn out better when I can just relax and have a good time with the painting. Just enjoy the process of the painting. And even if they don't turn out better, so what? I mean, do another one another day. We're not all perfect. I do paintings that, nobody would think are good. And this is not just me being overly critical. There's just times that things just don't turn out well. And we've all had those times, just you just got to let it go. Sometimes if you just set your painting aside and come back to it another day, you can salvage it. I mean, you can end up seeing things that you didn't see before that you should have done or could do to change it. And sometimes you come back to it and realize that, wow, that's actually really pretty. I don't know why I didn't like that yesterday or the day before. So, take it easy on yourself. Just enjoy the process, the creativity of it, and you just never know what you're going to come up with. So I'm sorry that was kind of a long, rambling, weird little speech there, but it's hard for me to, when I'm doing voiceovers, it's really hard for me to remember all the things I think of when I'm painting, that I think, oh, I need to be sure and tell you all this and that. And then by the time I get to the voiceover, especially one like this, where I forgot that I even had this video for so long, I can't remember anything that I was going to tell you. That little white tool, I don't even know what it is. Something I just picked up one day at a craft store because I thought it might be handy. It was in the acrylic paint section, so, I guess it's to swirl paint or do something. I don't know. It's rounded on one end, pointed on the other. You don't need one of these. I just randomly picked it up. It was on sale for like $1 or something for 2 of them. So I use that sometimes when the ink starts getting thick. Because when you're using a metallic, a lot of times it does kind of thickens up and gets hard to get it to move. Which is, that's kind of what makes a lot of the lines in there. So that's fine, back towards the center. But it does make it hard to move, and it kind of dams up things every now and then. And I use that rounded end to just break the dam, basically, to kind of get the ink steered into the direction that I want it to go. Excuse me. My throat is getting dried out today. But you don't need one of these. When I first started doing this, I used the back end of an old makeup brush. Just anything that's got a small rounded end on it. And I use rounded because I don't want to scratch the inks that are down. I've actually done that before, and it's much harder to try to fix that and cover it up than it is if you just take that rounded end and either gently just sort of tap around where you want the ink to spread to. And you need to do this before that area dries, by the way, because otherwise it's just sticky and tacky and you're going to leave marks in it. But either just, sort of tap on it, or do like you saw me do there a minute ago and just gently sort of drag the ink down in the direction you want it to go, so that it, it kind of gets rid of the little dam that was formed by some of the thicker ink building up right there, so that you can get it to go the direction you want it to go. Real quickly, for those who are new, this, I didn't say it at the beginning, but this is a 500 watt Revlon like styling brush hairdryer with the brush attachment removed. Now I use this one because it is 500 watts, so it's not as strong as some, but it does still have a strong airflow, and it does take some getting used to and practicing with. And this one also has a cool setting, which is what I use it on almost entirely. But the cool setting on this is not actually cool. It doesn't blow cold air out. It's just kind of a lukewarm or lightly warm air that blows out of it, which is really good, because if it wasn't at least a little bit warm, it would take too long to dry your ink. It would just drive you crazy, and you would end up moving the ink way too much while you were trying to dry it. But if you use one on a heat setting, like this does have a low heat, but the heat is actually very hot. It's just a low airflow. But it will warp your paper if you're using these synthetic art papers, because basically all they are is plastic. So that's the reason I use the cool setting and have just, learned how to control the inks using that higher airflow. If you haven't seen them yet and you're trying to use something like this, I would really recommend watching my videos 19 and 50, because I do try to go into a lot of detail on them about how to control your inks a little bit better. Some of the problems that I have been asked about frequently are addressed in that, just questions that people have had. And I need to do another frequently asked question video soon, because I get a lot of questions, but a lot of them are the same questions, that are answered in some of these other videos that people just haven't seen yet, haven't discovered that those answers are out there. Speaking of other videos, the next video that I post after this one will be the real-time tutorial on how to do the rings like I did in the video that I posted before this one. I did have several people who were interested in just a real-time version of that, not a I'm sorry, a sped up one. So I did finish that painting, another painting with a video to go with it that is in real time, or most of it is. I did speed up a little bit of it, but for the most part, most of the video is in real time, and trying to explain, a little bit about what I did, things to watch out for when you're trying to do something like that. So keep your eyes out for that. It will probably be posted Friday. That would be my guess. This coming Friday, the 28th of January, 2022. So if you're watching it after that date, then yeah, it's probably already out there somewhere. So, but anyway, I hope y'all enjoy that one. Once again, I was happy with how the painting turned out. So, but I thought I would go ahead and throw this one in there for you all. Just a little middle of the week kind of video. All right, so here in just a minute, I'm almost finished up with the softening this stuff up, but I don't know how well you can see it. Depends on what you're watching on. If you're watching on a phone, you may not be able to tell, but if you're watching on a, huge smart TV or something, you might be able to see it. But you'll see me go in with that white tool here in a minute in the middle of the painting where the colors kind of join. There were a lot of little just sort of finger areas of ink that I really was not happy with. So what I did was just dipped the back end of my little plastic tool in some alcohol and used it to kind of reactivate that just in the middle. I didn't want to drip the alcohol straight out of the bottle because I was worried about getting too much. And I almost got too much just dripping it off the back of the white tool. Now, if you do use something just to drip it with, be super careful that you get it where you want it to go. Like, hold your alcohol and whatever you're using to whatever you're dipping into your alcohol, make sure you kind of keep that right over top of where you're going to put that alcohol down when you take it out, because otherwise you may end up with white drips in your painting. Well, the alcohol will push back the ink wherever it drips. So be cautious not to get drips where you don't want them. But I just, I did soften it up a little bit and tried to move just enough of that ink to sort of join pieces together that were just sort of little squiggly fingers in there, little spider legs, I think one of my viewers called it one time. But so, so you don't have all those little squished spider legs in there. I kind of joined them together just a little bit. And that's, I kept having to tilt this. Ended up being so much brass in this that I was having a hard time seeing from the angle that I was working at. I couldn't see a lot of the fingers and things, if there was anything I needed to work on without tilting my paper around to see it from different angles. I was getting too much reflection off of the brass, but it looks really super good when you look at it in the light. Now you can kind of see there a little bit better. I'm actually literally pointing at this like y'all can see what I'm talking about. But you can kind of see in there where some of those little fingers aren't joined. It was a little too messy looking in there to me. I don't know. That's the best way I can think of to put it. It would have been fine like it is, and probably no one but me would ever have thought anything of it. but for some reason that was just really bothering me. So, and once it starts bothering me, I can't leave it alone because that's all I will see every time I look at a painting, and it will really frustrate me. The one thing that I did, as you can see how it's pushing the ink back, is I did get almost too much alcohol in there. Now, you can use a tiny little paintbrush, like a fine liner brush or something like that to do, but I decided to use this instead of my brush because for me, it's easier to control how much alcohol goes down and how far out it spreads. I know that makes no sense whatsoever. You'd think it would be the other way, but I also still wanted a little bit of a disjointed look to it. I wanted it to look natural, not like I had just painted a line down the middle of it, which actually can look pretty good. You might want to try that sometime. Just take your brass and you can actually paint lines onto your painting. I have done that in the past, but that's not the look that I wanted for this one. So that was the reason I decided to use this and just kind of blend things just a little bit more, at least make it to where I didn't have a whole bunch of different shapes going here and there. That is just about it for this. This one did not take me a tremendously long time to do. Like I said, I was really happy with it. My mother was really happy with one of her Christmas presents. So, turned out good. I used the pointed end right there because I wanted that to blend into one of the thinner lines right there. So that's why you see me turn that over. Anyway, I hope you all are, kind of getting what you need from these videos. I know I try not to say the same thing in every video, but I know sometimes it may seem like that. It does to me. But if there's questions that you're having that you feel like I should be answering, chances are really good that I've answered them in some other video, because I do try not to just say the exact same things over and over. And there's just a lot of information that doesn't occur to me in one painting that might occur to me in the next. And, I tend to share things as I think of it. So it's worth your time if you're really trying to learn this to kind of go back and watch some of my other videos, because you just never know what I'm going to talk about in them. And I don't either. I don't remember, what I talk about in which videos. So I don't even know what videos to recommend a lot of times if you're struggling with a particular thing. But do, check them out. If you haven't seen them, there's quite a few of them that would probably have some answers that you're looking for. I can answer some of the shorter questions, but some of them, it really takes demonstration a lot of times, or a very, very long answer. So, all right, well, this one is getting wrapped up. So don't forget to watch out for the upcoming video on Friday that will have the real-time tutorial on how to do the rings. So, all right, I'm out of here, folks. I hope y'all have a great day. I love all of you, and I'll be back soon. Bye, everyone.